This is RPGDad,
RPGNate,
and this is our weekly encounters wrap up. So this week we were on week 3 of Scourge of the Sword Coast. And why don't you pick up with where we left off?
Well, you left off in Jalkun or something like that. I don't know.
I think it's with a U, Jalkun.
Yeah, Jalkun. Well, it has a OU, so
yeah, whatever.
Jalkun. I don't know. They don't put
Nobody cares.
pronunciation things in there. So, you guys left off where you were last time, which was if you look at the Jalkun map, there's the lower town and the taller town that were at the bridge that leads to the taller town.
To the upper part of the town.
They had wiped out Area 11, which was where the bugbears were, because they ran out. I believe that was the inn or something like that.
Something like that.
Then they went over to whatever else was there. I think it was a warehouse.
There was like a warehouse or a granary. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff that we went through. And now we're really being anti the way we normally play.
Yes.
I would usually loot the shit out of stuff and not care. But since I'm playing a paladin, I am playing a lawful neutral paladin, but I'm still trying to have him tend towards good.
Yes.
And once I take the vengeance part at level 4, since I plan on level 3, since you can multi-class in this at whenever you want.
Yeah.
Level 3, I'm going to take the barbarian, dump the chainmail, pick up my speed again, and have a better AC than I do with just chainmail. And that way I'll have my 18 along with using a two-handed sword, not having to use a shield. But, you know, those are just mechanics, and I got lucky rolls, so I want to go ahead and use those rolls.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Vengeance Paladin, the whole idea with them is you can be lawful neutral.
Yeah. I played one last season.
And the idea is you're going to do things that are good. You're going to follow whatever the tenets of your god are. But you're going to maintain that lawful thing. But there may be times where you may do something bad to do what needs to be done, what's right.
What, like kill civilians?
I don't think you would kill innocent civilians to do what's right.
Well, what if there's a bad guy there, and you care about getting rid of him more than the lives of the two civilians?
But then you're going away from the lawful thing. The lawful thing is, yeah, there's a bad guy there, but you're not going to wipe out everybody between you and them. Now we're going away from encounters, but a lawful neutral guy is not going to just wipe out all those civilians because that's not lawful. No. You're becoming chaotic at that point. So you're still going to do what needs to be done, and killing that bad guy is not a bad thing. But you may, I don't know, knock the bad guy out and torture him to find out where the good guy is, but the other worse guy is, or something like that. Yeah. So you're going to bend good to meet what you have to do. Yeah. And we've kind of discussed this in some of our previous podcasts.
Yes. So after you guys had checked out the end, you went to the warehouse. Once you checked the warehouse, there was another guard tower. You went there. You had the ranger killed.
Well, the ranger tried to kill the guy. It was actually amusing because he made his stealth rolls. He did really well on those, and he gets up there, does his double attack, and misses on both.
Yeah, he hit with one. And he brought the monster down to 1 hit point, and it stayed like that for like 3 rounds.
Yeah, because he kept missing. Miss. And at this point, I'm like, I'm just going to jog over there. But it was too late because he had already blown the horn again to bring more guys out.
Well, no. There were no more guys for him to bring out, luckily.
Yeah, but he had already yelled alert. He didn't know what was going on. No. So, and once he's yelling alert, we don't know what's going on.
No.
So at this point, we didn't know. I mean, that's why we're trying to stealth in and take out each individual guard tower because this is a town. And there could be stuff all through the buildings.
Yes.
So I was just chuckling because the ranger could not hit. He finally took him out. And fortunately, there was no other groups coming charging out because we had wiped out a lot of stuff earlier.
Yes.
Now, the bridge to nowhere. That was kind of a joke at the table because... Explain what you were looking at.
Well, basically, the area map, that's Area 13, which was the bridge. So they get down, they climb in, and I see Area 14 in the cellar area. So, thinking that's where you guys would go, because otherwise, what the hell?
But this was like a 50-foot ravine, is how you described it to us, with a covered bridge about 20 feet down.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look at the module, because that just sounds totally insane. That there's a bridge in the middle of a ravine instead of crossing that ravine.
Yes.
But I guess there must be some entrance to go down to where the one side is that we ended up in, but the way it looked to you, you're describing it, we climb down to the bridge, we find the dead priest of and it's our cleric's deity, so he's pissed off because there's a priest hung from the bridge, and so we pull him up, and we're like, okay, what's at each end of the bridge? You're like, there's a door here, and I'm like, what about the other end? It looks like it's just a wall. And we're just like, so it's a bridge to nowhere.
Yeah.
Now, after you read it, and figured out that it was not too clear on the map. There was a room over there we ended up going to. It was like a storage room or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I should only have to go down to the descriptions of each area to know what's there, not to know that the thing's fucked up and it goes from 13 to 21 rather than 13 to 14 like it should.
So, I don't know. Like I said, I've been going out of my way not to...
It went 11 to 14.
I've been going out of my way not to look at the module, but the quality of the modules has really been going downhill periodically as each new one comes out. I mean, we had 2 that were not great, that people had to pay $35 for.
Yeah. Well, at least you don't have to pay for this one.
This one was free, and it shows. I mean, the old ones used to be free, though, where it was a swag for the DMs.
Yeah.
They would send the packets out, you have maps, you'd have all that good stuff for the 4E stuff. And even when they started doing the mix, where they were saying you could do 3.54 and next, they were giving you decent materials. But these last few times, it's like they're getting chinchier and chinchier. I don't know if they just don't care about D&D as much anymore. No. Yeah, they're coming out with next, but let's face it, we all know that Magic the Gathering is their cash cow. D&D is more like an afterthought. That's the feeling that I get coming out of Wizards every time I look at the new materials, that we're just an afterthought, that they can't provide you with characters that are not there just for fluff. I mean, the dwarf that's in there, that we met in the first thing, you would think it would be important, but if we would have followed him, I have a feeling that's a dead-end road. There's nothing you can do with him.
I think you actually do need to go where he goes, but
there's nothing to do with him. It's just fluff characters. There's a lot of fluff in there. There's a lot of poorly written stuff. And it's just not, it's not feeding what I really want to see at a table. I want to have some fun, some excitement, not, okay, here's a room, you've got some bugbears. Here's a room, you've got some goblins. Oh, now we've got goblins, hobgoblins, and bugbears. And you just crash room after room. And that's the way these encounters are going, where it's just, it's almost like the old dungeon crawl, where you had a shitty DM, and every week was nothing but a dungeon crawl. You'd go down, and that was even worse because you had to recover a full day. So you go down, hit a room, have to leave the dungeon after everybody's blown all their spells. But this is more like dungeon crawl than encounters.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, encounters, it did lead to an encounter each week, but there was stuff that you would do in between each encounter before you got to the actual encounter for the night.
That's almost here, but I'll be honest, the 2 hours you have on Wednesdays is not enough to do a good role-play session and a good bit of combat. Yeah. If you spend too much time role-playing and you're having fun doing it, you don't have time to do what you need to do to get to the next section. Yeah. And let's face it, Encounters is a 12-week thing. You have a finite period to play.
Yes.
And you have a finite period to get everything done. Otherwise, your group's not going to complete the module. So, I mean, I always push to do what we can. I mean, the first week when all we did was role play, I knew we were screwing ourselves. But I think we made up for it last week and this week. Mm-hmm. And we're about where we need to be so that next week we finish off the town and move on and we'll level up.
Yes.
But it's just not... I was reading somebody else's blog.
Yes.
And they were talking about they had some 30-somethings playing, and the 30-somethings were just bored because they're playing other games where they're actually doing stuff. It's not just goblins, gnolls, bugbears, bam, 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 a little bit of combat, poorly written story. There's all kinds of cool stuff going on. And the way that the D&D material is, they're like, this is just boring. And I hate to say it, but it's kind of getting to where the D&D stuff coming out now is boring. We lose... It gets that way with Encounters no matter what. Encounters is there to bring people in.
Yes.
And hopefully they buy the materials. I mean, I'm sure this is Wizards' idea. They're there to buy the materials and enjoy the game and then start playing their own campaign. We lose a ton of people I mean, we have 4 tables every week.
Yes.
And those tables all have 6, 7, 8 players.
Yes.
We could move to 5 tables, but somebody has to be willing to go ahead and dungeon master.
Yes.
And right now we've got a reluctant DM at 1 table because he wanted to play this time. I DM'd last time. I don't want to DM this time.
Well, that's the same deal without DM, so you should just man up and go DM.
I've done it a hell of a lot longer than he has for the last 5 years, so I get a turn to play. That's the way I see it. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm being a douche.
Even more than you,
but
my friend.
Maybe I'm being a douche, but I've been doing it for 30 years, and I get to play once in a while.
Oh, come on. You didn't do it. You tell me.
So, I think the problem is that Encounters is getting to where it's too cookie cutter, and it does get a bit boring.
I think it's not even a matter of Encounters at this point. I think it's a matter of 4th edition. 5th edition. 4th edition, you could actually have completely different characters.
Well, 4th edition, I mean, it had its own issues. And the issues were that everything was module run.
Yes.
And let's face it, the modules were there because there are a lot of crap DMs out there that don't know how to create a campaign.
It was nice having the modules as something to look at and get some inspiration off of.
Yes.
That was always a nice thing.
But anyway, back to the Encounters. Let's get this done. The main room that we ended up in, there was I don't even know what they were because they ended up bursting in flames, so we couldn't do anything. I think one had like a holy symbol on them, so it must have been some type of priestess.
Well, it was a hobgoblin and...
But what were they?
Well, it was a hobgoblin and she was possessed by Baka.
We don't know that.
Or something like that. Well, you do know.
And then there was a dual wielder guy, I guess, who was there.
He was the goblin leader.
Okay.
And you killed him. Or no, you didn't kill him.
The explosion killed him.
Yeah. So you could.
Because I wanted to capture him, because another thing that I'm seeing is we're not seeing a lot of bodies in this town.
No.
And I just realized, literally about an hour ago, that we're here because we heard that a shipment was supposed to be here 10 days ago. We're not here because refugees came to this town.
Yeah.
So these people, we don't know where the hell they are. They're not dead bodies in this town. They're not burned bodies everywhere. There's some priests who have been killed. But these people are gone somewhere.
You know what? It would be really nice if I actually knew where they were.
I think you do. You probably just need to read.
Possibly.
So, we need to figure out where these people went. I guess we'll have our, hopefully makes the rolls, but we'll have our ranger track and see if he can see big bunches of people being taken off in chains or something like that. I have a feeling that's what's going on here.
Possibly.
But we'll find out next week. But it really came down to, we had a couple of fights.
Well, I know you have more of that underground dungeon, so they might have done something where there might maybe...
Well, we had 2 fights in the underground dungeon. The one that was like the goblin leader, the priestess, a couple of vipers, which they didn't give stats for.
Yeah, I had to make them.
You should have listened to me because my stats were correct. I told you how to build them. And you've been DMing long enough to be able to do it on the fly.
Oh, yeah.
So... those vipers, it should have been easy.
Well,
in 4th edition, it should have been DC 12, bite with poison and save, maybe a grapple if they bite you.
Yeah.
So you've got to make 2 saves off of that. Bam, done. And then their AC, you figure their attack is probably going to be with a bite, a DC 4, DC 6, because they're going to be generating poison.
Yeah.
And it's really simple. So that was the only place you dropped the ball. You're doing a very good job. You always do.
Yeah.
But you've got to learn to generate characters on the fly like that.
I
But that was it.
Stubborn.
We did 2 combats there with a bunch of searching and the bridge to nowhere. That actually held us up for about 5 minutes because you're trying to figure out where the maps were intersecting, I guess. Because, again, it doesn't give you the layout, it appears, that they used to, where it's like you're going here, this is your path.
I don't understand why they wouldn't make it as... it goes from Area 13 to 14.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like I said, it's lazy writing is what I'm saying. But that's where we are. Next week we're going to pick up, finish off this underground dungeon, and move forward, hopefully.
We might or might not record our weekend podcast.
I don't think we will. I'm not that worried about doing that right now. We have some other projects I want to get done.
Yeah.
And we have our mini challenge we need to pick up on. We've got a lot of stuff we need to do.
Yes. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, rate, and subscribe.
And
click
remember
on the link in the description to go to our blog, which includes a mini challenge.
And look at the blog, because that's where I post this anyway. So,
yes.
But if you look at the blog, eventually all the podcasts are going to drop off,
yes,
because I'm not keeping that up anymore.
Anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Keep rolling those dice and have fun. Bye.